This video is brought to you by MoviePalette.com. Hey everyone, do you have a favorite movie that you would love to hang on your wall but you can't think of what scene or what poster to get? Well, now you can get the entire movie on one high quality canvas. With MoviePalette.com, you can get every scene from your favorite movie, or more specifically, the dominant color of every scene from your favorite movie in chronological order on a great high quality canvas. It also comes with a silver engraving of the title down at the bottom. It has rubber stoppers on the back to keep it from bouncing. And they have a huge catalog of what to choose from. Whether you're a horror fan, or a fan of sci-fi, Marvel, Japanese anime, Disney animation, drama, or Oscar classics, there's a movie palette for you. And right now, MoviePalette.com is having a sale for 50% off for their Halloween sale. But if you go right now, and if you enter room 15, you'll get 15% off of the movie palette of your choice. That's ROOM15 for 15% off of your movie palette. Again, this is a great value for a great piece of home decor that looks great for any film and for any film buff and anywhere in your home. You will definitely like this product. Mine is of The Shining, and I could not be happier with it. So definitely go to MoviePalette.com and enter ROOM15 for 15% off of your palette. Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, back with another review. And the time has come. I figured I would have to get to this movie eventually. And now that the third and final film in this new trilogy, I guess, is now out in theaters, my girlfriend and I are going to see it tomorrow. And I've already reviewed all the other films in this series, so might as well do the one that I didn't get to, so I can do the one that's out now. And I did not see this when it first came out. I just saw this for the first time tonight, the day before seeing the next one. It's Halloween Kills, which came out last year. Halloween Ends is now out. Be seeing it tomorrow. Okay, I did not see the 2018 one when it first came out. I think I saw that in like 2020. Mainly because I stopped caring about Halloween after the Rob Zombie movies. After that, I was like, okay, there is no blood left in this franchise at all. And the original Halloween, 1978 John Carpenter's Halloween, is still one of my all-time favorite films. It's probably my favorite slasher film, which, yeah, technically it's the first slasher. Chainsaw Massacre is a proto-slasher. This is a masterfully crafted, very effective film, but also a slasher film without blood. It's simplicity in story, but absolute master craftsmanship on the technical levels. Still very effective. Halloween 2, the first Halloween 2, is a fun slasher film, but that's where it starts to go downhill. You make Michael and Laurie siblings, and then just every sequel after that has just gone to shit. I'm not a fan of Halloween as a series. I was when I was a kid, and I know now, like, there's horror fans, there's horror channels that really only review major wide releases and franchise films. And that's probably why stuff like this still comes out. People want more of something. And people will go see it just because it has the familiarity title, or because they like the character of Michael Myers. They don't care about quality. And yeah, after the two terrible Rob Zombie films, I stopped caring. But I did see 2018. it's flawed, but I liked it. It really was the first one since the original to treat Michael the way they did in the original. He's the Shape, just this unstoppable serial killer, essentially, while still being a force of evil, force to be reckoned with. 4, 5, 6, I think suck. They're terrible. H2O, I can watch kind of as okay. It's a reboot idea. Don't like Resurrection. I don't like the two Rob Zombie films. I really only like the original, Halloween 2. As flawed as it is, I like 2018. This movie is even more flawed. And people are probably going to get pissed at me. I didn't mind it. Is it stupid? Yes. But in a world where Halloween 4, 5, and 6 exist, and yeah, this one might just have a lot of flair to it, a lot of style to it, I didn't mind it. But this should be proof right here that there's nothing left to this series. There's nowhere left to go. And it's really a shame because the original Halloween has one of the best, scariest, and effective endings to a horror film. Supposed to be dead, they look over, he's gone, and then with the sound effect of his breathing, we get all these various, very darkly lit locations that we've been throughout the film to show that he could be anywhere. He could still be out there. Excellent. And if you went back in time 40 years, because in case you forget, this movie will remind you about 40 times that 40 years ago, if you go back 40 years ago and tell John Carpenter and Deborah Hill that in 44 years' time, the 13th installment is going to be released. The 13th installment to a film about an escaped mental patient who goes back to his hometown, stalks these babysitters, one in particular, with no motive, no reason, just kills them off, stalks this one in particular babysitter on Halloween night. They probably would have thought you were crazy. And Halloween has gotten to the point now where it's almost like a comic book title because of all the reboots, retcons, different avenues of continuity. I mean, you can go one through Resurrection, or you can go 1 to H2O Resurrection, or now 1 2018 Kills Ends, and Laurie Strode has been in about half of them now. I mean, it used to be a big deal. Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back to Halloween after 20 years. She's back after 40 years. Now she's in all of them. And, okay, Michael he's the unstoppable force. Yeah, they don't really fuck with his character like they would have in Halloween 2 or Rob Zombie's films. Okay, they give him some sort of motivation that he has to go back home. That's about it. But there really isn't much of anything to this movie, so why did I find it entertaining? Mainly, I guess I just really liked John and Cody Carpenter's, what they did to the score, the new things they added to the score. I really liked that. The style of it, which, yes, this is a Blumhouse film, but even the worst Blumhouse films, it does have this polished look to it. And when you get to the climax, it's pretty stylish, and I do like that. It is trying to do something, but yet this is technically Halloween 3, if you look at the original 2018, then this.
but it is the direct continuation in the same night of 2018. So it's like Halloween 2 in 1981, even to the point of Laurie kind of taking a back seat, character-wise, in a hospital. And that's just one of the things that's like, oh, okay, this is a sequel that's doing what that sequel did. Laurie in a hospital, group of townspeople going after Michael. The whole idea of Michael's back, and this time they're ready. From Halloween 5. Though I think this was better than Halloween 4 and 5. And I guess my threshold is, if it's better than 4, 5, 6, I guess H2O and Resurrection, fine. I mean, just because I'm being middle of the road, I could watch it. Positive, then, in terms of the internet, that means I love it. I think it's a masterpiece. It's the greatest movie ever made. It's the best Halloween of the bunch. Because the internet is hyperbolic as fuck. No, it's flawed as hell. The dialogue is very poor. Half the dialogue is either, something about 40 years ago, or for 40 years. Evil dies tonight. We kill him tonight. We kill it tonight. Evil dies tonight. I mean, to the point where there's the angry mob where just, some of them are chanting evil dies tonight. But when people just yell it out, it's almost to the point of the season 9 episode of South Park, 2 days before the day after tomorrow, when people are just yelling, we didn't listen. Even Randy, talking to his family, then he just rolls down to his window to yell, we didn't listen. They rose back. It's that goofy. And this movie just reeks of desperation because we bring back the original actors to play Sheriff Brackett, the nurse Marion from the opening of the original film, Lindsay Wallace, Tommy's bully Lonnie. Why they didn't bring back the original Tommy Doyle, I don't know. He's played by Anthony Michael Hall in this, who's a decent actor, but he's not. He is one note in this, which is just like the angry, brooding guy. I mean, the whole first half of his scenes is just like looking at the camera, like when someone in the distance would be like, they found some bodies up on whatever, and the camera's just, he just looks at the camera like, just mean mugging, and it's why they got him instead of the actual Tommy Doyle, I'm not sure. And most of these characters are brought back just to get killed. Now, normally, when something like that happens, like, okay, the new Chainsaw Massacre did that. When you bring back these classic characters, whether they're major or not, Tommy Doyle, I'd say he's a major character. Sheriff Brackett, I'd say he's a major character. Lonnie and Nurse Marion, not so much. But when you're just bringing back all these little characters just to plug them in, it feels like desperate fan service. But anyway, so this was directed by David Gordon Green. This has both versions, extended and theatrical. I just watched the extended. Why, I don't know. But I didn't watch any of the special features. Now, yes, this is going for some sort of a political... It has these political overtones to it, which Jamie Lee Curtis has not shied away about what these metaphors are. Like with 2018, she said it had to do with Me Too. Here she's saying this is sort of a play on BLM, even though, in her words, this predates BLM. But that's basically what it is. Because it's an angry mob, it even kind of goes back on its own messages at times. And I'm sure there's people that like this, that shit on A24 films for being so up its own ass and pretentious with its messages and its metaphors and self-indulgent. This movie, this is so. This takes itself so seriously and trying to be so deep. Yet I'm sure people like it just because it's an entry of a major slasher franchise. Yet if an A24 film like had the same level of seriousness, the same monologue that Laurie has at the end of the movie, if that was an A24 film, fans of this movie would be calling it pretentious. So, yeah, just a lot of surface level horror fans that will just eat up anything with a familiar title. And no, just because Ends is coming out and I'm reviewing this does not mean that I'm going to be doing a ranking video or a top 10, like top 10 Michael Myers masks, the top 10 kills, top 10 Laurie Strode shoes, just to kind of get everyone geared up for the new one, like I know a lot of horror channels do. They kind of milk it as much as the franchise itself. What's going to happen when it is inevitably rebooted within 10 years' time? You're all out of top 10s. Like, is it updated top 10? They're all the same. I don't know. So, directed by David Gordon Green, written by Scott Teems, Danny McBride, and David Gordon Green. Produced by Malika Cod, Bill Block, and Jason Blum. And also, why are they so worried about taking a movie with just a guy in a mask killing people so seriously and trying to be so deep, even on a political level, when one of your biggest films that you even put your own name on was Truth or Dare? And at one point you were going to release a Magic 8-Ball horror movie, Blumhouse. Now, this is not, I wouldn't even put this in the realm of worst Blumhouse films. That's not even in the conversation. But, so yeah, coming back is Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, and Andy Matichak. I don't know if Will Patton was in 2018. Even though I can watch 2018 and I do think it is one of the better films of the series since the first one, it was forgettable. So like when this just jumps right into the continuation, I was kind of like, wait, how did they get there again? Jacob Kiane, if I pronounce that correctly. Anthony Michael Hall. And then returning is Charles Cyphers as Sheriff Brackett, Kyle Richards as Lindsay Wallace, Nancy Stevens as Marion Chambers, which she was also killed off in H2O, but of course that's retconned. And James Jude Courtney and Nick Castle as Michael Myers. I also noticed that there is this one gay couple where they're both called Big John and Little John, and one of them is played by Michael McDonald, which that's two horror franchises that Michael McDonald's been killed in. Halloween Kills and Leprechaun 2. I'm not a fan of Leprechaun. The score by John and Cody Carpenter, I loved. I would say that's one of the best parts of the film, especially towards the end. I mean, I was never a fan of some of the redone Halloween themes, like the one for Halloween 2, I never really cared for. This really kind of does like an epic version of it, especially towards the end. And really, the story's just as simple. I mean, Laurie, Judy Greer, and Laurie's granddaughter, they've they think they've trapped Michael in the basement of Laurie's house, set it on fire. They're being taken to the hospital. They see all the fire trucks going by. Of course, Michael's still alive, kills all them, and Laurie spends most of the time in the hospital, most of the time believing they killed him. Meanwhile, Halloween night, there's a bar. It's open mic night. People are singing, doing comedy. Anthony Michael Hall goes up and just talks about sort of that one Halloween night 40 years ago, because pretty much everyone has about 9 lines where they say 40 years ago. And to talk about the victims and the survivors. He mentions Lonnie, Marion, and Lindsay are all there. And, I mean, the 2018 film kind of made this parallel, or this observation, like, 3 people got stabbed 40 years ago. I mean, is it really that big of a deal when nowadays we have mass shootings every week and terrorism and all this? And now here, it's like the whole town is traumatized. And I know they were going for transferring the trauma of Laurie to the whole community of Haddonfield. And then you just get like angry mob. It goes from being this small group of people, of survivors and locals trying to find Michael, to literally almost the entire town storming the hospital because they believe Michael's there. Even to the point where this other escaped patient makes his way to the hospital, and they're all chasing him. It's kind of like the ending to Blues Brothers, when they actually make it to the county clerk's office, and SWAT team is just chasing them up the stairs. Even driving this guy to jump out a window. Just to show that, to quote a Men in Black, a person is smart, people are dumb. Even though there's not really one smart person here except for maybe Judy Greer. But yes, the mob mentality gets you nowhere. Nothing spawned by a group of people has ever worked, ever, to do anything. People as a unit has always sucked. It never accomplished a thing. And especially when you have angry mob mentality where literally one person can just nonchalantly be like, hey, I think I see him over there, and then the entire community just focuses that anger and then beats an old lady to death. That doesn't happen in this, but... And it's basically like a physical manifestation of like if the internet was a visual, this is what it looks like. Like, this is what the comment section looks like, with just angry people. The only thing that was moderately cool was they kind of do this Dr. Sleep thing where they recreate stuff from 1978 and add on to it, which I don't know if they did like a deep fake or an actor, but the guy that they got to, if it was an actor, to play and voice Donald Pleasance, wow. He was as good as the woman that played Wendy in Dr. Sleep. They did a good job with the film and the grain to make it look like it's from 1978, to make it look like the original film. And then to expand on it, like when they actually arrested Michael, or what happened when he got up off Laurie's lawn and walked away. They retconned how Lonnie, when he was a kid, came face to face with Michael, just so they can bring his character, as part of this justice group. And I will say that was some of the best parts, because it doesn't really add any exposition. It's not like explaining backstory, which I'm glad. It's just kind of showing more of that night or this version of that night, which is fine. To me, it's when you have flashbacks that explains like, oh, Michael was actually torturing animals before he killed his sister. Like when you start building and fucking with the character, that's when it gets stupid. And thankfully, this movie does not do that. It does try to say this one thing, like Laurie says, the more he kills, the more fear personified he becomes, or something like that, which might explain his strength, but it sounds more like just a theory or just someone trying to rationalize the evil of this one person. And I mean, yes, I know they're going for like the realism that okay, this is a man, this is a serial killer, but he goes through some shit in this. He should not have survived anything that happens in this. But the climax I really enjoyed. It's very stylish. Being a slasher, it does have some creative kills. Um, though I never really considered Halloween to be one where kills needed to be in the forefront, at least in variety or blood or gore. You know, if you ask me, Friday the 13th is the series that needs the variety in the kills. Like, you could just have a whole movie of Michael stabbing every victim as long as the movie's good. Friday the 13th is the one that I always thought should have different weapons, different ways to kill people. But like 2018, I mean, this is sure the kills are bloody, they're brutal, they're mean-spirited, which I guess feeds off of, you know, just the pure evil aspect of Michael. He kills another kid. Cool. I mean, we don't get to see it like we do in the 2018 film. It's implied, which could be more effective. And I mean, like, and yeah, there are the characters that are introduced just to be killed off. Like the couple flying the toy drone around the living room. Michael just shows up to kill them. But I mean, like, he breaks a fluorescent light tube, stabs her in the throat. I like how this was shot. She's still alive, and the camera is on her. Then it kind of just pans around to, like, show what she's looking at. And in the wide shot, far away, out of focus, is Michael having her husband leaning over the counter, and he's just stabbing all these different knives into him, and she has to watch. Or they kind of recreate the scene with Marion in the car, when you have all different cars of this renegade group. The one with Marion, we see Michael jumping onto the roof through the back window, or we see him from the back window jumping up on the roof. Only now instead of his hand hitting the glass, he has a kid's head with a Halloween mask. One of the more brutal ones would be the granddaughter's boyfriend, who is like stabbed and then pushed through like the bars of the railing on stairs and just like pushed side to side so the bars are like snapping his neck. Then Michael walks down the steps a bit, grabs a hold of his head, and just... So yeah, the kills have variety. The kills are brutal and bloody. But then everything around it, where, okay, it's also trying to play off the idea that, you know, no, Michael's not after you, Laurie. He just went after you because the doctor in the last one brought him to you. This whole thing is that he just wants, he kills, he goes back home, and he broods out his sister's window. The dialogue is poor. I mean, it's either 40 years ago, evil dies tonight, it dies tonight, we have to kill it tonight. Or it's Laurie in her hospital room just saying trailer lines. And even though they try to play it off like, no, he's not after you, you're not the important thing, it ends with her saying, on the phone, like, I'm coming for you, Michael, like setting up the final confrontation. There is a lot of silliness, and a lot of it is the dialogue. Some of it is the acting, especially from like Anthony Michael Hall. I don't mind the idea of, this community all being pissed and trying to catch this guy that keeps getting loose, can't be stopped, and keeps killing people. But coming fresh off the 2018 film where it seemed like everyone forgot about Michael and no one gave a shit, that now the whole town cares. I mean, it was cool to see a hospital and a horror movie that actually has people in it. It's not all deserted. But at the end of the day, it's still just a Halloween movie. Nothing super. It's not innovative at all. The only innovative thing about it would be, okay, it has a little bit of flair with the visual style. That's about it. And just further showing that Halloween never should have been a franchise. It should have. As much as I like Halloween 2 as a slasher film, it should have stayed this. It would have remained just as big, just as popular, still would have been passed down through the generations just as much. I would rather see like frivolous new Blu-ray releases every year for this than I would them trying to just wring out every bit they can from this series. And I know I'm guilty because I'm going to go see Ends tomorrow, but you do have these very surface level horror fans that, with surface level horror channels, that will go and see every franchise sequel ever made. They only see wide releases, not even horror movies like, say, they might only see an A24 movie like Pearl or X because it's a slasher. Or they won't go see something like Don't Worry, Darling, which is a horror film, but it's not Smile. Smile's a horror movie, and just very surface level, and that's what this is. It's a very surface level movie. It tries to be deep. It tries to have this sort of political edge. It tries to be a little deeper, which anyone that says this movie is deep, but a well-executed A24 film, like Saint Maud or something, is pretentious or, full of itself and self-indulgent. You might not know what those words mean. But yes, even for all its flaws, I will say I liked it more than 4, 5, 6. Resurrection. I don't know about H2O. I will say overall I do like this new continuity better with 1978, 2018, and Kills. I like this new continuity the best, but I still just prefer Halloween to be by itself. That's what it should have been all along, and they can call it Halloween Ends all they want, and I'm sure it will end this new sort of trilogy or sequel trilogy. It's going to be rebooted again. I can guarantee you, at most 10 years. Within 10 years, we're going to see another reboot, and we're going to have everyone bitching that it sucks. It's unoriginal. There's dumb ideas. Well, maybe it's time to just let these go. Halloween, Chainsaw Massacre, Chucky, for God's sake, Scream. Scream not as much, but let these franchises die. Let them lay to rest. And then the one that is so formulaic that you can keep making sequels, and have always been entertaining enough to warrant sequels, Friday the 13th, they don't. But, yeah, it's still a holy hell flawed film. Not a whole lot good to say about it, but I still enjoyed it more than a bulk of the series. And I will say I am more partial to this newer continuity than I am like the original franchise. But it's still, uh, I would almost give anything to just completely erase Halloween, save for the original, and just make it by itself. One of the best horror movies of all time, and now we're getting the 13th installment. And we haven't really had a great one, or even a really, really good one, since 1978. 2 was just really fun, but I think it's time to let this franchise die. Seriously. So that's Halloween Kills. There'll be a review for Halloween Ends tomorrow. No, I'm not doing ranking videos. No, I'm not doing top 10 Laurie Strode haircuts. I'm not making up reasons to do top 10s that are related to Halloween just to kind of even self cash in on the new review. I'm just gonna post the new review when I do it. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching.